Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video on one of the first games I beat here during the month of January in 2021, and that game is a childhood favorite of mine, Donkey Kong Country 2: Diddy's Conquest on the Super Nintendo, SNES, Switch online service through the Nintendo Switch. Finally, very happy. As you guys know, I actually beat the first Donkey Kong Country game last year. I did an impressions video if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, it's a childhood favorite of mine. You know, both 1 and 2, and also 3 in a way. And I'm planning on playing the third one. I'm really glad Nintendo added it to the Switch online service a couple of weeks ago, I think. So I'm excited to start the third one. But as far as the second one, Diddy's Conquest, I have so many fond memories of this. It's one of my favorite games, childhood games. And I want to start with one of my memories of the game. This was one of the first games that I got close to release. Like back then when I had my Super Nintendo and I was a little kid, my parents or family would buy me games that were typically older games because they were cheaper, obviously. Back then games were very expensive. They were $60, or some of them were even $70. Games like I think Chrono Trigger and Super Street Fighter 2. I remember on release they were like $70, which is crazy. Because when you take into account inflation and all that, that made those games more expensive. But Diddy's Conquest was, I remember I got it as a Christmas gift. And this game came out, I believe, in December of 1995. So I pretty much got it shortly after release. And I'll never forget the day because I was visiting my aunt and uncle here in the U.S. at the time, because I was living in South America. And under the Christmas tree there was an envelope, and I opened the envelope, and the envelope had a sticker from Toys R Us, not a sticker but like a paper. And it was if you guys used to shop at Toys R Us in the 90s, you would have to get a pamphlet with the name of the game. You would take that to the front counter and they would give you the game, and it was the paper for Diddy's Conquest. And I was like, oh my god, is this true? But how come the game is not here? And I remember my aunt and uncle, they had to explain that the game was sold out for that Christmas season. So it was kind of, the Toys R Us gave them like a reassurance that they were going to restock the game in a couple of days or weeks or whatnot. But that was my Christmas gift. And of course, a couple of days later, Toys R Us called, and the game was back in stock. We went to pick it up, and man, I played this game so much with my buddies. And in a way, I think most people regard this as the best of the trilogy on the Super Nintendo. Me personally, I have more fond memories and like nostalgia feelings for the first one, which is kind of like why I tend to favor the first one. But Donkey Kong Country 2: Diddy Conquest, it's a fantastic side-scrolling platformer. One of the best of all time. One of the best of the 16-bit era for sure. It follows the same formula, the pre-rendered backgrounds and animations with the silicon graphics technology. But I guess I'll start talking about the story. Fairly simple story. Donkey Kong gets kidnapped by King K. Rool, which is kind of like a surprise, because Donkey Kong, he's kind of like the superstar. His name is on the game, but you don't get to play as him, and instead of you get to play as Diddy Kong with a new character, his friend Dixie Kong. So that's kind of like the purpose of the game, obviously, is to rescue Donkey Kong from the clutches of King K. Rool. Now, in terms of graphics, obviously, the silicon graphics are back. There's, in my opinion, the game looks better. I think Rare learned a few more tricks. The game is a little bit more colorful. The game has a pirate theme to it, and I'm not really sure why. I think it might have to do with the fact that the game takes place in like a different island versus the original one. But yeah, the game has like this pirate theme going on, but the levels are very colorful. There's more variation in terms of the graphics. There are levels that have different effects, like rain and fog and different types of weather, kind of like similar to the first game, but in a little bit more detail. And I have a lot of fond memories of the graphics in this game being very colorful. That one level, the cart level, where in the background there's like a fair with fireworks, that has a lot of nostalgic feelings for me. When I was replaying this on my Switch, I was immediately brought back memories of me and my friends playing this game. So the graphics are fantastic, among the best for the 16-bit era game, for sure. So very impressive technology, the silicon graphics done by Rare. In terms of the sound, this is perhaps the best soundtrack of any game during the 16-bit era, courtesy of David Wise. And of course, we have Sticker Brush Symphony. That's one of the staple songs of the 90s and the 16-bit era in terms of gaming. It's one of my personal favorites. If not, it could be one of my, if not my favorite soundtrack of all time in terms of video games. Sticker Brush Symphony, but there were so many other tunes that are just fantastic. And this is David Wise at its peak, pretty much. He's a great composer and did a phenomenal job in this game. So the soundtrack in this game obviously gets an A+, and it's a masterpiece. And in terms of the gameplay, that's another area where this game shines. Obviously, it follows that path of the first Donkey Kong Country game, where you have two different characters that you can choose from. Diddy, obviously, being the more agile. You can cartwheel. He's pretty quick and fast, so he offers that on the table. His movesets are pretty much the same when compared to the first game, but Dixie Kong, she is a new character in this game, and she offers she can use her hair to kind of like rotate and float when making jumps, which is very useful if you're trying to do some tricky platforming parts in the game. She is pretty helpful, and I believe she also jumps a little bit higher than Diddy Kong. She's a little bit slower, so trade-offs in the two characters that are pretty that allow you to switch between them in the game, and obviously you can lose one of them if you get hit. So that's that. And obviously, in terms of the gameplay, the game offers the cart levels, which are make a comeback from the first game. You have your animal like buddies in this game, like Rambi the rhino. You have the parrot Squawks, and the snake and so forth. It's great that they added those, because they add variety in terms of the gameplay. They make the game feel fresh for the 50 or 60 levels that the game has. It's a fairly short game. Obviously, I have a lot of fond memories, and a lot of the levels were fresh in my mind. Despite me having not played this game in a couple of years. But it was just a blast from the past going through these levels. The level design is excellent. There's a lot of variety, not only, in terms of, offering the animal like buddies, but also the themes. There's swimming levels, cart levels, levels where you go from barrel to barrel and things like that. So the game does a really good job of keeping things fresh. And on top of that, you have that coin system and toll system where if you pay the toll guy, Clubba, I think was his name, you can you have access to new levels and new areas of the game and so forth. But yeah, overall, my thoughts for Donkey Kong Country 2 are that this is one of the best side-scrolling platforming games of all time. I think I still prefer the first one. I think it might have to do with the fact that it's a little bit more just nostalgic for me. But in terms of the quality, I think it's this second game offers a little bit more solid level design, improved graphics, and I can see why people prefer this one or choose this one as their favorite Donkey Kong Country game of all time. But nevertheless, a trip down nostalgia lane for me to my childhood. Super Nintendo games, bring a lot of the emotions out of me when I play these games. Having so many fond memories of me and my friends playing all these great classics. And I'm so glad that Nintendo decided to include this in their Switch online service. And I'm really glad that they offered the third game, which will be my next goal. And hopefully I can beat that game and show you or have my impressions video obviously done for that game as well. But yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Take it easy.